No, next weekend.
No, it's
I promise you.
Okay.
He just called me yesterday.
All right.
Want to know if I was coming. Are we live again?
Yeah.
We had a breakdown in technology here. Wonder why it disconnected.
Yeah. I don't know why. I just saw the message right now. and I
Producer
got
fell
some
asleep.
texts. Producer fell asleep.
Way to go, Aaron. We almost had a perfect outing.
Yeah.
All right, so Big Jake's race, Archmania, March 27th through 29th, Stream Raceway Park, Ferris, Texas. The racer support trailer from Nitrous Outlet will be there, and you don't want to miss that race at all. Like, it's going to be insane. All right. I need to brush this up here. So, let's talk about the Nitro Dave's Clash of the Titans series or class. It's a 450-ish index. Our very first, so Ethan Williams reached out to me and said, "Do you want to put on an event?" And I've had like this itch to put on an event. He asked if I want to put on a class. So I picked one of the classes I was wanting to do in my own event, and it's the 450-ish. And so the way that works is right before the race, driver's meeting, we'll pull chips from a bag. It's either going to be a 445, 450, 455, or a 460 cap. And that's going to be our cap. So what that means by a cap, this is not index racing, but what it means by a cap is you can't go any faster than that, right? Yeah. So the race is going to be won on the tree, the tune-up of the car for the cap.
It's going to be a tuner's game.
And knowing your car so you don't break out,
yeah.
Right? You got to beat the guy next to you. It's heads-up racing. You got to beat the guy next to you, but you got to make sure you don't go too fast. So it's going to add some, and it's a no time. We give a ET slip with the test hit, so you can figure out where you're at. But once we go into eliminations, no slip. All right. So the first one we're hosting is open to big tire and small tire. Eric has told me, don't worry, track will be perfect. So it goes. You don't have to worry about any issues between small tire having to compete against big tire. It is open to class racers and no time racers, and you can have a delay box or what's the other thing it's called?
The throttle stop.
Yeah, no throttle stops, no delay box. Good job. It's already full. There's a 32 car field. We did pre-registration and it filled up in like 4 days.
And it's not till September.
Yeah, and that rate. So the hood to hood race is September the 18th through the 20th. We will be testing Thursday prior to the event kicking off. Right. So for you guys that are racing our class, take advantage of Thursday. Save yourself tune-ups for each one of those caps, because whenever we go into eliminations, this is going to be the closest heads-up racing we've seen. And there's some absolute killers already registered. So I'm like super excited about that, and thank you, Ethan Williams, for giving me that opportunity. And then, we're Bodie's race. Jay Bodie is putting on the Grudge Bowl.
Yep. A US 60 driveway.
Yep, and that's in Hardinsburg, Kentucky.
Kentucky, yep.
And it's July the 11th through the 12th, and they will also have testing Thursday prior to the event kicking off. And so Jay gave me the opportunity, thank you, Jay, to host our event, our class, at his race. That's awesome. So it's going to be a 32 car field again, right? Small tire only. And then 30 days prior to the event, we'll ask for the remainder of the money. That way we have time to if somebody can't make it, we have time to fulfill their spot. Speaking of, while the hood-to-hood race is full, we are currently taking alternates. Thank you. Alternates. And right now there's only 2 people signed up as alternate. So we will pull from it in line. The ones that signed up earlier got a better chance of getting in. So if you want to be an alternate for the hood-to-hood race, you need to let me know now. The longer you wait and the longer that list goes, probably a pretty good chance you're not going to make it. Yeah. A lot of people are excited about this class. So Jay Bodie is allowing us, incorporating us to come join his race, and we are working on the flyer right now, and then we will take pre signups. 32 cars. That's it. 32 car field. We're not going over. I want to be able to put the show on, and I want to be able to put the closest side-by-side racing possible there. So I don't want to overpopulate it and not be able to finish the event. And on the hood-to-hood one, I haven't did the official announcement yet, but we started off as a 10K payout, and it's actually quite a bit more now. Fuel Tech came on and gave a FT 550. That's like a $1,700 value to go towards the winner. SP Tools came on, and they're giving $1,500 cash to first place and $1,500 in gift cards for me to distribute probably to second. Thompson Motorsports, which is building our motor right now for Orange Juice and built the motor for Stitch, is donating a $500 gift card towards first place and a $250 gift card towards second place. Davis Technologies is doing the same thing. Davis Traction Control doing the exact same thing. $500 to first place gift card, $250 to second place gift card. Madman. So Madman's my chassis guy. Madman has a shock dyno. He does shocks. He builds cars. He sells parts. He's given a $150 gift card to first, second, third, and fourth place. Right? So, who am I missing, John?
That's all I know.
I better look at my phone. I don't want to forget anybody.
I just learned about Madman.
You just learned?
Just learned.
All right, so hold on. I got a screenshot here.
Ooh, who's that girl?
RPM Transmissions. How did I forget that? Oh, God. I'm so glad that I looked here. RPM Transmissions. $1,000 towards first place. All the car transmissions. I got like 4 or 5 cars. And Rodney and his team has built me transmissions for all of them. And they're flawless. Like, the man is the transmission whisperer, right?
If you win first place, you can almost build your second car.
I know.
Prizes.
No doubt. And so, and then hopped up by Hubbard.
Yeah.
So, Kenny Hubbard. Kenny Hubbard is giving first place his hopped up hydraulic pump for the Projects. And that's a $1,500 value. And then last night, I am so glad I looked at my notes. Last night, Billy Swanee reached out to me, and he owns BNS Wrecker Services. And it's a family-owned operated. They do long, short distance towing for semi-tractors and trailers. And they're out of Abilene, Texas. And he donated $1,500. So the payout for the hood-to-hood races it's probably up between cash and prizes. It's going to be over 20 grand. That's awesome for a first time event.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm honored at everybody that jumped in to help me and believed in me. And so I know that people are wishing we had a bigger than a 32 car field.
Yeah. That's a lot of prizes.
Yeah.
I
mean,
it's a trailer now.
It's
You
awesome.
got a full racing setup.
Right? So that's awesome. And I will be looking for sponsors for Jay Bodie's race to help sweeten that pot as well. I'm working on a couple other discussions with some other races of hosting our event there. So I'm really excited about this. I'm having fun with it.
Nice class.
And honestly, to be honest with you guys, I'm not making $1 off this thing. I'm just having fun. Like I'm scratching an itch outside of Nitrous Outlet, and of course Nitrous Outlet and Flow Supply is involved in helping me with this because someone's got to cover all my traveling expenses. And my son is doing all the artwork, the flyers, and stuff that's coming up for it. He's last night he was working. He worked all night. I got up this morning for work, and he was still working. And he presented he's trying to create a logo for the Clash of the Titans. And I felt so bad to tell him the artwork was awesome, but it didn't really fit what we were doing. And he goes, okay, fair enough. I'm like, I'm sorry. So, you guys are listening, if you host events or need a sponsorship proposal put together or something, I'll put you in touch with Ty, and he does this is his job, and he does a killer job. So, all right, so Jay Bodie's grudge race, 100K to win, US 60 Dragway, Hardsburg, Kentucky, July 11th to the 12th. I am sorry that I have taken so long, Mr. West. So let's get Thomas West on here. Let me tell you what's going on with Thomas. So Thomas is not only a famous YouTuber, I've watched him grow there, but Thomas owns several businesses, and he competes, and he's in a lot of areas. So, and he's a character.
He's everywhere.
So look, there he is. Oh, we can't hear you yet. Hold on, got technical difficulties. We got sound. Can you hear us?
Oh, I can't hear Thomas. Come on, producer. Let's go.
Is this a Thomas issue?
I think this is a Thomas issue.
Oh, there we go. I thought I heard him.
No, that's you. Thomas, we can't hear you. Check your sound.
Check.
Okay, try now.
Try now.
No.
Nope.
I think it's him.
How about now?
Check.
Can you hear me now?
Bolts and hose.
Maybe we'll just read your lips. Look at your phone. You ain't got no sound.
Let's see if he actually has sound on it.
Yeah, we're not getting a signal from him.
We're not getting a voice signal from you. Can you put some red lipstick on so we can read your lips better? We almost had a flawless day.
I got something from him for a second.
You got something for a second?
Yeah.
Is it on our side or his?
No, I think it's his.
It's on your side, Thomas.
I'm gonna have to go back in.
Nope. You can do it. Uh-oh.
Oh, now I lost your picture. I can't see your face no
He
more.
must be shutting it down and rebooting.
Yeah, I told him to close it and try it again.
Oh, okay. He'll be here in a minute.
Play the commercial.
Trust me, you don't want to miss Thomas. He's funny. He's wild. We should have posted his, remember when the Bud Light thing came out and he did like this?
Can you hear me now?
Hey, it's
there
Thomas.
he is.
Hey, what's up?
What's up?
Ah.
What's up?
Perfect.
Well,
We
I
got
had
you.
to shut the
We got an echo, though.
computer off for some reason. The computer microphone don't work.
Oh, yeah?
Well, yeah, so I'm on the phone. I'm just doing it old school. You know what I mean?
Well, hey, this is our 5th episode, and this is the first time our microphones have worked.
Well, hey, that's a plus. We're all in there.
We'll take it. So, Thomas, we've been friends for a long time. How long have you been doing this whole YouTube thing now?
Well, not long, man. You know, a friend of mine, Kyle Loftus, I mean, a lot of people know who he is, owns 1320. He's filmed me a bunch and my cars and stuff of that nature. And one day he's like, dude, you're a character and you should get on YouTube. And he said, it's hard to begin with. He said, but you put a little bit into it. and he said it's amazing where you could go. So that was about 4 years ago, and we just keep doing it for some reason. It's kind of like racing. We're just too stupid to give up.
Well, you're fun to watch. You know, I met you at LS Fest. It had to be 10 years ago. And
It was longer than that. About 13 years ago.
Okay, and
We're
you
getting
had the
old, bro.
Savette, right?
Yes, sir.
And back then it was a twin turbo LS combo. It didn't run, and you had it on a trailer, but everybody was looking at it and checking it out, and that's where I met you at. Of course, it had our direct port on it too.
Yep.
Yeah.
Prior to that, I had you build a direct port for it, and I remember our conversation because I had a buddy of mine gave me some old Zex bottles, and I put them in there. And you walked up to the car and you said, "Oh, this shit ain't gonna work." and that's where a friendship was born, right there. Shenanigans. Yeah. Oh, that'd have been great. That would have been great. Oh, God. Gotcha. Well, I still kind of do it, and it's what's helped me do everything that I'm doing. So I do industrial refrigeration work. So like transport refrigeration on reefer trailers and stuff of that nature. We have a lot of big contracts with Food Runner, PFG, a lot of brands. Can you hear me? Hello. Got. Are we good? All right. So I started. I went in business for myself in 2012, and what I do is industrial refrigeration work. So I work on transport refrigeration for like companies like Tyson Foods and Cisco and Performance Food Group and stuff of that nature. So I do transport refrigeration, and I repair all the reefer trailers that.
That wasn't us, right? It's got some technical issues here.
There we go.
Can
All right,
everybody
I can
hear
see you.
us?
Yes.
Check. Bolts and hose.
I think we're good.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Giving an input.
Okay. Yes, we can hear you. All right.
All
So back to refrigeration repair.
Yep. So I started doing that in 2012 for myself, and we just we repair all the refrigeration, the cold storage trailers for a bunch of big name food companies going up and down the road.
I honestly thought you were a diesel mechanic and had those trucks that fits diesels on the side of the road. So I just learned something.
Yep. So we do that too. We work on semis and all of that above, but the main bread and butter is the refrigeration trailers.
Okay.
It's a very skilled trade. You know what I mean? It's a lot different from like home AC or an AC on a car. There's a lot of specialty things that you need to know and how to operate this stuff. You got to have special licenses. We do a lot of ammonia systems and stuff of that nature. So it's very intricate, and it pays the bills.
Perfect. Now, you recently opened a speed shop. Tell us about Renegade Racing.
Well, this, truthfully, I never thought it would go this far. This was, and I tell people this and they laugh, especially when they come up here to the shop. They're like, this is absolutely probably one of the best speed shops they've ever seen in their life. and we've done a lot of work on it. And I mean, it's painted inside and out with graffiti and display cases and everything that you can think of. But how it started is my wife had an idea to start a brand and start selling shirts at the racetrack. So that way we could kind of off center go into all these races and make some money back. So we came up with, my nickname was Renegade when I was a little kid. So we just came up with Renegade Racing and made a logo, and she made about 100 shirts and sold them off the back of a golf cart in an hour at LS Fest, matter of fact. And after that, we bought us a vendor trailer, and I was like, well, let's take this a step further and let's sell nitrous. So I hit up Nitrous Outlet, and I was like, hey, I want to become a vendor. And they was like, well, you have to have a brick and mortar shop. So I called this dude named David that I know, and I was like, man, what's up with this brick and mortar? And he was like, I guess just get a brick and mortar and a bag of mortar and throw it in the trailer and take a picture of it.
Crap, we lost him again. Why don't we keep losing them?
It might be his connection or.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah.
I got a call there, my bad. But yeah, I did just that. I threw a brick.
That's what was happening to us last week. Every time somebody called.
Yeah.
You there?
Well, I got a brick and a bag of mortar and threw it in the trailer and took a picture. And David called me and was like, hey, man, the guy that approves vendors came in here with this picture and said, are you serious? And David said, well, it's brick and mortar. I guess you got to be approved. And it kind of took off from there. About 2.5 years ago, me and my wife bought a new house, and I built me a shop behind the house, and I put it in a dyno and all kinds of stuff. And it was basically for me to film at, to continue to do the YouTube thing and everything else. And people started coming over and said till it got out of hand, and we had to hire a bunch of people. And then finally my wife was like, this has got to get out of the backyard. So I bought a piece of property down the street, and we built this facility and just opened it about the end of December. So
it's impressive.
It's been crazy.
Is that where you're at now, or are you at your other business?
Yeah, I'm here at the race shop right now.
Dude, can you give us a tour?
Absolutely.
Are you on your phone?
Yeah, let me see if I can turn this thing around. Probably not. But this is my office right here. It's kind of not very nice. But
what is that? Look at all the room for activities.
Exactly. This is the display area right here.
I mean, dude, this place is legit.
Hey, check out that Nitrous Outlet stuff over here. Is that
I know. I wish we had that sign right now for back here.
Lord, I know. I got it. Yeah, so this place is pretty cool. We got some motorcycles up here on display, some engines, nitrous bottles, a bunch of other things. The cool part is out here in the shop with everything we did out here. This is our dyno area right here. Our back display on the wall, we did a bunch of graffiti.
I love the paintwork.
Yeah, we went crazy with all this. We've got a little fab area over here in the corner. We have our own alignment rack. We have a motorcycle dyno. We do a lot of motorcycle work. A lot of engine building. We build all our own transmissions in-house. There's a fab area back here in the back. We have CNC tube cutters and plasma tables and everything else. Have some small CNC machines. You name it, we're trying to get into it.
That shop is legit.
It's huge.
Thanks, man.
You did an awesome job. I was watching you build it and it come together, and the displays. You got a vision, and I wish I could have made the grand opening. I was sad because I had to be somewhere else.
It's all good. If you look, you see this big stage right here? I bought this stage at a place called Sam Ash Music that went out of business. It came with speakers and lights and all kinds of stuff. And my wife was like, what in the hell are you going to do with a stage? And I was like, I got an idea. So it's like an amphitheater for your car when it's on the dyno. It's crazy.
Oh God.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So, Michael McCoy wants to know where your cowboy hat went.
Oh man, look, let me tell you something about the real McCoy. That dude is a driver. So I'm a prep racer. All right, I always have been. I've never really dabbled in no prep. Well, them guys are tough because that's a whole different field of racing. And I went and did some no prep racing with him, and we bet our cowboy hats, and he won mine. But just let him know I'm coming back. He knows I'm coming. I actually talked to him the other day. I'm coming back. Yeah.
Now, it sounds like Jesse Tolley liked you without a cowboy hat because he said you're looking hot.
Oh, thank you.
I think he's visioning you in the dress with Bud Light.
I wouldn't doubt that for a second.
So, all right, so let's talk about all the different types of racing you do. I mean, you're everything from drag racing to drifting. Let's talk about some of your cars. What do you got going on? What are you racing this year? What are you doing?
All right, so a couple different things. I'm well known for the Savette and the S2000. You know, those were kind of my babies, and they always will be. When I finished the S2000, I turned the Savette into my pro drift car, and it's pretty rowdy. I got to put a clutch in it right now. And then the S2000 was my outlaw car, and a lot of people know I do outlaw stick shift racing. So, you know, I believe that if it's got 3 pedals, you're a man, and if you're racing an automatic, there's something wrong with it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. All right, hold on, back up. You changed the Savette from the drag to drifting?
Yes.
I didn't even know this. What happened to the drift car? It was like a little Eclipse or something.
It was a 350Z.
Okay.
An LS with a 350Z in it. Yeah, I still got it, so it's my party car now. We just go have fun in it. But the Civic, when I stopped drag racing it, I put it in a Connex trailer, and it sat there for a year. And I was like, man, I got to do something with this thing. So I just had this great idea. I was like, let's turn it into a drift car. And it parties. It gets down.
Okay, you're going to have to send me a video because I'm
Absolutely.
trying to vision that. How do you take a car from drag racing, the suspension, everything's different.
It's all different. Yeah.
So that means you rebuilt the car again.
Pretty much, but not necessarily. So as a lot of people know, this car is based off a Corvette. So we got with FDF, they sent us some control arms for the front. We changed the brake setup in the front. We put electronic Volvo power steering on it, a different rack, changed the Ackerman of the car, and it parties.
Wow. I had no clue. Did you know that?
I didn't.
So how much power does that car make?
Well, once upon a time, it made a little over 1,800. I didn't think that would be a good idea to leave it like that on the rev limiter, you know what I mean? So it still has a Dart 427 in it, but we took all the timing out of it, and I put it on a 10-pound gate spring. It makes somewhere close to 800, and it just, for some reason, it continues to live. It won't die.
All right, so now back to that was new to me, so I had to back up a minute. Now back to the stick shift car.
Yep, so the S2000, we went to a World Cup in it, did pretty good. We broke an axle in 3rd round, which kind of sucked. We were going to go to the finals with this thing. But I have a car that I've been building for a while, and I decided to go ahead and finish the thing and turn it to my outlaw car and really make a statement in the stick shift class. So we've been working on it, and with the S2000, I tried to go to a race in Cincinnati called Plates and 28s. And it was an NHRA race for a Wally, and I got disqualified for not meeting the spirit of the race. And I kind of was pondered by that. I was like, what does that mean? And they was like, well, you have a race car. And I was like, well, this is a race. And they was like, well, we want a street car. So right now we've redesigned the S2000. I put power windows in it, all glass. We took the one-piece front clip off. We're putting a new stock style front clip on it. We made a dash for it, putting door panels in it. So I'm going to turn it to a full-blown street car that'll run 730s all day long.
Nice.
So that's the plan with that car. We're almost done with it. It should be ready by May. And then we're looking to get our new car, which is a Cadillac CTSV.
And it's sexy.
Whew. When this thing is done, it's got a billet small block in it from CFE. Jonathan Atkins is building this thing, and it's ridiculous. It should make around 5,000 wheel. Matt over at TIC got with 6XD. They developed the first T56 billet case because we knew we were going to split it in half. Justin Brangers with BRE, he made a full billet rear end for it. A one-off 9-finger slipper clutch. This thing's going to be retarded. Then it goes to Nitrous Outlet for all the goodies as soon as it's ready.
Yeah, I know we just sent your chassis guy like a burned down tank, and I think we sent the bottle brackets and stuff like that. So, and then you're bringing it now. There's an event that you're trying to have this car finished for, and what event is it?
It's bragging rights in North Carolina. It's the end of May. So we've got about 2 or 3 more weeks worth of fab work to do on it, and then we blow it apart and paint it, and then put it all back together, and it goes to you.
I have a feeling, like I know what's coming because I know Thomas. He's going to hit us the last minute,
Very last minute.
and it's going to be a shit show to get it
Probably
done.
so.
That's how racing works.
Like I know what's coming.
Hey, when have I ever did anything the correct way? You know what I mean? And I've gotten a lot of questions. Are you going to test the car before you come? I said, sure, on the dyno. Well, that ain't going down the track. And I'm like, listen, I will make a 2 eighth-mile passes during qualifying, and if it seems like it's going straight, we're just going to send it. So it'll be all right.
Well, if I had to describe you to someone and your energy, I would describe you as living life on the rev limiter. Because
You know,
that is you.
that is so true. And the thing is I honestly live life by the seat of my pants. Everybody's like, what's the plan? I don't have a plan. You know, if it happens, it happens. We just go for it. That's it.
Why we're such good friends, because I'm the same way. All the guys around here are like, what are we doing? I go, I don't know yet.
Yeah, figure it out.
All the time, like, I'll let you know 5 minutes before we're doing it.
Yeah, and I get asked a lot, you know, especially John over here. He's like, hey, what races do you got planned for this season? And I'm like, whichever ones I show up to. I mean, I will be there.
It's hard, especially whenever you're balancing business, personal life, all the other things we dig into.
Yeah.
You just kind of you just do this the whole time. You're moving stuff around and you just make it happen.
Exactly, you know, and I tell people that a lot of times, man. This isn't an easy life, but it's a fun life, you know. And I go for it, and if we're going, we're going. That's it.
Absolutely. So we got a drift car, we got 2 drag cars. You bought a police car, and I was watching. Speaking of shenanigans, like you pissed off the local police department, and they confiscated your car, didn't they?
Yeah. So that is actually my wife's car now, and there is a crazy nitrous outlet set up on this thing, man. But we just put a new engine in it at our grand opening. We swapped an engine in it and put it on the dyno. This thing's going to be pretty wild. But yeah, the whole controversy behind that. I bought this car and drove it down the road, and the local police department didn't like that I had a cop car. So they took it from me. And but it didn't end very well for them. So that's a whole different story. But yeah, we got the car back, and now it's making like 1,800 wheels. So it's pretty gangster.
And what? Oh, we lost him. All right. So what's the? What is that car for? You drag race it or burnouts or what?
It's my wife's car, and of course we got her a new car as well that we've been working on. She's got into stick shift racing. She really likes it too. But at any cost, she loves the Caprice. So that's the car that she learned how to race with. It went from a stock motor all the way up to where it is now. And yeah, she's going to race it this season. We're going to do a new wrap on
today.
But there's nobody calling.
Oh. Try it again.
Can you see me?
Yeah.
Yep, we got you.
All right, cool deal. But yeah, she's going to be racing that. But we have I got her an S550 Mustang, and you know how I feel about Fords. We yanked the 5.0 out and threw it in the trash can. And it's got a built 376 in it, TR 6060 with a 98 millimeter turbo on it. So this thing is pretty gangster. It's full interior car, and we got to trick the body control module into working with Holly. So everything functions on the inside, power windows. It's got a tablet radio in it, 12.3 Holly screen in it. I mean, it's absolutely a beautiful car. So yeah, she's going to be stick racing that this year, and it'll be pretty nuts.
That's cool. You know what you're missing out of your whole stable?
What's that?
You need a burnout competition car.
I know, and I've been wanting to build one.
Me too.
And I found one that I think I'm going to get. So now that you're talking about it, it's an ice cream truck. Like
That's cool.
old.
Yeah.
Like a 60s model, 70s model, like the box style ice cream truck
Yep.
with sliding doors on it. And I want to LS swap it and put a blower on it and just do wild shit with it.
That's cool. So I have a 46 Ford sitting in my driveway that I use for yard art.
Right?
I'm going to turn that into a burnout truck.
That would be nuts.
I just got to get some of my stuff like finished so
Yeah.
I can get to it.
I'm ready to see that Nova finished. How's that thing going?
Man, it finally made it to the lift last week. Lisa's 57 turned out to be a bigger project than it was supposed to be. And so I have decided to sell. I have the old Huckleberry grudge truck. I've decided I'm going to sell it and focus on the projects that I have instead of, what I'm like you. I should be focused here, but my mind goes, ooh, and then I go have it.
Squirrel.
Yes,
I know. I'm the same way. And there's this. I see something on my biggest problem is marketplace. I see something on marketplace, and then I'm just stuck. You know what I mean? And I've got to do it. And then I figure it out afterwards. You know what I mean?
We used to have so Roger and I used to have, we called Fridays. I can't remember what it is. Something Fridays. And what it boiled down to is earlier in the week I would be on marketplace, and I in order for my mind to stop, I take an Ambien to go to sleep. I end up buying some weird ass shit, and we end up having to drive 8 hours to go get it.
Yes.
And so I've kind of corrected that. I've bought lifts. I've bought cars. Uh-oh.
No, we reconnected.
Is he there? Or we lost the stream?
Yes, Robert.
What is he telling you, that we lost the stream?
Yeah, he's been texting me.
Are we back up right now?
It says we're live. We
Okay.
should still be back
So-
up, but
We were just about to finish up. I don't know where Thomas went. I wonder if his phone went dead.
Robert's probably on lunch already.
What do we got?
Let me see. Let me look at Facebook.
Hello, Thomas.
Oh, Thomas.
All right. Well, that was. There he is.
Hey,
Hello.
there you are.
I don't know what's up with this phone, man. We just got a bad signal, man. But yeah, what I was saying is everything in my shop, from the lifts to the alignment rack to that stage that's above the dyno, all came off marketplace.
Nice.
Yeah.
You do better shopping than I do. I keep looking for the same broke down shit.
Well, that's the problem. That's the definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over again.
I'm definitely insane.
Yeah. Oh, God.
All right. Well, Thomas, where can your fans see you at?
Anywhere. I mean, Instagram, Facebook, just look up Thomas West or Stick Shift Racing. Same thing with YouTube, put in Renegade Racing or Stick Shift Racing. It all comes up to the same me. So I'm there.
The same crazy you. Now, do you have a website for Renegade yet?
Absolutely. It's shoprenegade.com. And if you need nitrous parts, make sure you hit me up and not Nitrous Outlet, because I sell the best Nitrous Outlet parts on the market.
And you have a hell of a display. You
Absolutely.
got the best display, I promise you.
There we go.
Well, Thomas, thanks for taking time out of your day for us today. It was enjoyable talking to you.
Absolutely, man. And listen, I will be at Texas 2K this weekend, so I'll see you there.
Oh, I'll see you
I
there.
got a shirt for you this weekend.
Yeah, because look,
Good
I mean,
job.
I've been growing pretty big, you know what I mean?
This will make you look real big too.
Oh, my God.
Oh, turn around. Racer in
I'll
training.
bring it to you this weekend.
Hey, let me tell you one more thing. I made a post. I've been, I've had this workout journey, and a lot of it has to do with John. I tell him all the time how much dropped a lot of fat, and I've got the only nitrous shirt I've got that fits. John sent me a whole string of them. So look, that's all I got. 2 shirts I wear. I got JAC Jonathan Atkins shirts, and I got Nitrous Outlet shirts. That's it.
You know the right guy to take care of you.
Company man.
That's it, baby.
Because I'll forget. You'll text me, and then a month later, you'll be like, where's my shit at?
I just go ahead and circumvent you, because look, unless it's a personal question, I know you're gonna forget as soon as you hang up the phone.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us. We're going to jump into, the guys don't jump off yet. We're fishing to go through solenoid tech and teach you how to tear apart a solenoid.
Cool deal, man. Y'all take it easy, and we'll see y'all on the next one.
All right. See you this weekend.
All right, brother.
All right. So today you guys get a special treat, and we're going to go over solenoid maintenance and how to tear apart a solenoid. So Aaron's going to switch equipment real quick. Let me grab something out of here while you're doing that.
Are we still using this microphone?
No, we're using our
Now you're going to be using the microphone on your shirt. All right. So we get a lot of questions about how to maintenance your solenoids, right? And so I thought that this would be a great time to show you the inside of a solenoid and explain how it works and the parts of it that need to be maintained. First of all, we're going to start with the most common nitrous solenoid. It's a 122 orifice. So whenever you look on the website and it says 112, 122, 177, what we're talking about, and I should have grabbed a pointer. I'll use this pencil here. We're talking about the exit orifice size. And so in the solenoid, that's the ID. And that's what allows the solenoid for X amount of flow. Okay. So let's take the solenoid apart. I've already broke them down so that it's easy, but generally you're going to need a solenoid wrench, right? This one will work on the nut. So you take the nut off. And what you have here is the coil. All right. It's a wound copper coil inside. And this is what creates the magnetic force that lifts the solenoid. We still use a steel can because it strengthens the coil. It strengthens the strength of the coil. We do have an aluminum base, and you'll see that we add a steel washer to help fill the gap. But the more steel we have here, the stronger the coil is. There's different part numbers for the coils, and that has to do with how much amperage it's pulling. And I'm going to get further into that here in a minute. All right, to remove the tower, if you have the basic solenoid wrench, you'll notice it's got 2 nipples right here, and they will go into the dimples of the tower, and that's what spins it off. The first problem we have with people not having the proper tool and new to maintenance in their solenoids is they clamp on the tower with a pair of pliers. And the tower is nothing more than a cylinder, right? It's thin, and it's kind of like a piston sleeve. That's exactly what it is. It's a piston sleeve. So whenever you clamp down on this with pliers, it distorts it and it squashes. It does that. Now the piston can't slide up and down in it like it's supposed to. It hangs. So this is why we say, hey, don't do that. If you get into a scenario where you don't have the proper tools, what you can do is double nut the top of the tower. Take one off of your fuel solenoid or another solenoid, put 2 nuts on it, right? Just like this. And now you can spin it out with a wrench and you won't distort the tower. That's very important to know, because if you're at the racetrack and you got a piece of trash underneath your piston or something, and you're having to tear this thing apart and you don't have the proper tools. If you grab a hold of this and distort the cylinder, your racing's done. So if you find yourself in that position, double nut it. All right. Now, a little nicer tool is our billet solenoid wrench. All right. It's got flats here for a wrench. So you got 2 different sizes. You got the trash can because it requires a different solenoid wrench. And then the other side, you got standard. And the way that's going to work is it's going to slide down on the tower. And then you put a wrench on here and you can spin it apart. This is nice. All right. So now let's get over into the functions of the solenoid. This is your piston. Your piston's going to have a spring. All right. And the way that this works is the pressure is going to come in the base of the solenoid right here. This is your inlet, right? And it's going to fill this cavity. So right now, whenever it comes in, the piston is sitting down on the seat. This is the piston seat. The pressure is pushing down, so it fills in, it comes in and fills the tower, and it's pushing the solenoid down. All right, that's what these slots are for, to help it balance when we try to lift it. So it's sealed shut. When the coil, so now you got power and ground to the solenoid, we send it a signal, and it energizes the coil. The coil is lifting this piston up. All right, and as it lifts it up, it opens the passageway for the nitrous to go out the exit port. I'm hoping you guys can see this. It goes out the exit port to the nozzle or the plate or whatever you have feeding, okay? This port right here is a purge port. It's a little tight. I can't get it out. But it's a free-flowing port. And this is so we can purge the nitrous, get liquid nitrous all the way into the base of the solenoid. So there's no delay. We're not pushing air through the system. Sometimes you'll see a solenoid that will have another port right here. And generally what we've done whenever we do that is we're putting a sensor port in there. And it actually doesn't break into the common channel. It breaks into the exit channel. And this is how we read the pressure that we're coupling the converter with. And that's an important tool for tuning on a nitrous car. All right, so this is the function of the nitrous solenoid. And what's important to know, the reason why bottle pressure and coil strength and the balance of the solenoid go together is if you ever found yourself in a scenario where your bottle pressure was way too high and your solenoid would not open. And the reason why is because that increased pressure is pushing down on that piston and the coil is not strong enough to.
Disconnected. Okay, it should be back on.
All right, we're back. So we're talking about, sure where we lost you, but we're talking about the strength of the coil versus pressure. So there's a balance in a solenoid design of the height that the piston's sitting at, the exit ID, the coil strength versus pressure. All right. If the base is sloppily machined, everything's plus or minus 0.003 mostly. But if that seat is lower, right, it changes how strong this coil has to be to overcome this versus the pressure. So that's the reason when you find yourself in a scenario where you got really increased high bottle pressure, especially during the summer, your solenoid is not going to open because it can't overstrain. I tend to keep these parts from where I'm teaching. I don't know if you can catch this. I don't know if you guys can see that. Can you see it? Let me turn. I should have grabbed the. Oh, I know what to do. Hold on. Watch this. Let me get the right angle here. Let's see what I'm doing. I just can't seem to get it right today. There we go. So this is a piston. See that nipple in there? See how that indention is? This is a piston that has excessive wear. That normally is caused by too much bottle pressure. It's not real common for this. So I tell all my racers to maintain their solenoids at least once a year. But see how the ring around the center? That's where the seat has dug into it. And what that does is that changes the seat height of where it's sitting in the cylinder. So all of a sudden your solenoid may not be opening, right? And you're like, well, why is it doing that? Well, that's why. It's changed what that strength of that coil. It also starts to restrict flow. The further that nipple hangs off into the passageway, hangs down as it comes up, it can't lift that nipple that's hanging down into the flow path out of the way good enough. So whenever you pull these solenoids apart, this is really what we're looking for. The most serviceable items in these solenoids are the O-rings, which hardly ever go bad unless you lose it, or it goes right here to seal the tower down, or you pinch it putting it back together. But this is the part that we normally have to maintenance. All right, and you can buy just these solenoid parts separate, or if you had an inadequate, what's that word? Inadequate ground, and you smoke the coil, or you got a wiring issue, maybe the coil is like super old and it's starting to get weak, you can just replace the coil. You don't necessarily have to replace the solenoid, but solenoid maintenance is important. Our solenoids come with a nitrous screen in them. And so if your tune-ups start to get rich, let's say, it seems like your tune-ups are getting richer and richer, and checking that screen is a good thing, and checking the piston. Now, look at this. Let me pull this apart here. This is what we call trash can solenoids. Our competition 189s or 178 solenoids, this is all for big high flow stuff, is based off of a solenoid. And it's got so this solenoid is a 178 and it comes with an 18 amp coil. The 189 solenoids that we do come with a 30 amp coil. It's important that you know the amperage of these coils, because that's going to determine what gauge wire you need to run. And it's going to determine, can your controller support the amp load? And do you have a solid state driver that can support that, or a relay? All that's very important to how you wire your nitro system. A lot of people think you just match the gauge wire coming off the coil, and immediately you're setting yourself up for failure, because the longer the run is, the bigger gauge wire that it has to be able to carry that amp load. And so that's very important whenever you're wiring a nitro system. All right, so what I want to show you is whenever we get over into this solenoid here, see how that goes on the other side there? You're going to notice a much bigger piston and spring, right? I mean, we're talking a significant difference in size. Well, the cylinder is also bigger. So the solenoid still functions the same way, just everything's bigger so it can flow more. You can see the orifice size difference. So you're talking, one on the left is a 122 orifice, and we call it 122. Sometimes they pin 125. It could be right around that area, but 122 is going to be the smallest. And then so right here on this other side, I don't know if you can see, yeah. So This is the 178 orifice. So if it's called a 189, this would be 189 thousandths versus 178 thousandths. All right. So this coil is much bigger. And it's much bigger so that it can lift this big piston, right? Now, whenever we're increasing flow, we'll come in and deck the piston and take some of the material off because we're opening up the passageway that goes in. Back in the day, we made a 375 thousandths orifice solenoid. Believe it or not, my smaller orifice 189 solenoid will outflow it. And the reason why is because the 375 solenoid, which another company later on copied from us and still sells it, it can't lift the piston up high enough to take advantage of the 375 thousandths orifice coming out the bottom of the solenoid. So you're probably asking yourself right now, well, why don't I just drill a big hole in the base of the solenoid? Remember I said everything is balanced, right? So if I was to take this and drill it 250 thousandths, right? Now, as the liquid is coming in and it's leaving the solenoid, because it's a liquid, it's not a gas yet, it is trying to, and it's exiting this orifice. Think about like a waterfall. It's coming out. It's trying to suck this piston back down. It's hydraulics, right? It's trying to suck that piston back down. So all of this has to be able to overcome that force of sucking it down. So if it's not balanced between the orifice size, the coil, and the piston height versus nitrous pressure, you're going to run into a problem. 2-3 years ago, we released 199,000 orifice solenoid. It was a monster. The problem is we've seen an inconsistency after you started getting some use on it on the flow bench. So we shrank that orifice to 189 thousandths, and we gained a ton of control with the solenoid. We can progress the solenoid. It's 10,000 smaller orifice, but it's more controllable. If you can, it does no good to have a bunch of power if you can't control it, right? So that's kind of in a nutshell the nitrous solenoid. The smaller the solenoid is, like a 063 or what's our
078.
78 thousandths orifice, they're more controllable. Like I've sent all of our solenoids to a lab, and I have sheets of where their window of control is. And the smaller the solenoids have a bigger window of control in the progressive ramp. And what I mean by that, let's say you're starting at 20% of your max flow on your ramp, and you're going to 100 within that amount of time, that window of control on that smaller solenoid may be 20% to 70%. And then you get to a solenoid like this, and it may be 20 to 60 or 25 to 60. But then you get to something like this, you start losing window. It may be 30% and to 60. And what that means is at that 60%, that piston's doing this to the point it's never really fully shut. We're just open. So understanding the hertz on the nitrous controller, that's how many times per second it's sending and taking away signal. Sometimes you have to adjust that hertz to be able to control the solenoid that you're using. So let's talk fuel solenoids. Any questions so far? No solenoid questions? Guys, if you have questions, make sure you let me know. All right, so this is a fuel solenoid. The fuel solenoids typically have a lower amperage coil. So a lot of times people go, my solenoid's not clicking, because they're used to that 27 amps going click, click, click. And these are very faint. And one thing I like to do, especially if I have a direct port car, I'll go through a test scenario, and I'll take my steel wrench here, and I'll stick it to the top of the coil, and it'll become magnetized, and you can feel it pull off of it. If you were doing a nitrous solenoid, it's going to be a pop off, right? This one's just going to barely latch because the coil is not near as strong. So sometimes some people think, oh, I got a coil problem, and it's not actually a coil problem. It's just that this out the solenoid. You'll see it's also got a screen. You'll see the O-ring in my hand there. All right. Now, the piston works the same way, but this one happens to be a little different. See how that fell out right there? The piston is actually in the end of the spring is actually in the end of the piston. And so that's going to push off the top of the tower, right? So pressure works the same. We're just talking liquid. And the piston material, I wish I would have had a, actually, no, I don't have one. This piston right here. So if you look at a lot of the, let's say you bought a used system and you pull it off and it's got orange material right here. The durometer of that Buna that's in it, the material tends to swell with today's fuels. So if you got a used solenoid, you may need to buy an aftermarket piston. This piston right here material is designed to work with E85 and regular race gas. And so you'll see it right here. It's embedded into the, see the pin right there? All these pistons are the same way. Something has to, like this Teflon right here, something has to pin and hold that in. So it comes in and it's pinned in. Whenever a fuel solenoid is having issues, this will swell. And whenever it swells, it sticks on the seat. And so a lot of times it don't want to open. And that's whenever you'll start seeing lean issues because something has pissed off that piston material. Alcohol applications, we use a different durometer. Everything's done by colors. Most alcohol pistons are blue. Alcohol is such a more harsh fuel that we have to have something that can withstand that. So we use a different durometer material for alcohol. Now, let's look at the 310 fuel solenoid. So this is a much bigger fuel solenoid. And it's got a bigger orifice. And so as a result, your piston, everything else still the same, but see the orifice? This is a pretty good view. Can you see the hole sizes there? Yeah. All right, so this is a 310 orifice, and this is a 177 thousandths orifice. Now, whenever you look at the piston in this one, this piston works the same way. Let's get the O-ring out of the way. All right, but you'll notice that the material is embedded right there. It will still take, and I have people ask me all the time, how come I can't use a fuel solenoid for a nitrous solenoid? Well, if I can take my fingernail and just dig into this and you're going to see it. It's soft. And so it's not designed to withstand the high pressure of nitrous. It'll literally blow the piston seat off of it. Back in the day, they used to advertise, back with the old NOS solenoids, basically, they would advertise to run solenoids, what's not parallel, where one's after another. What's that called?
In conjunction? In
conjunction with one another. And what that was is the way that their solenoids were designed, it would blow the piston material off of the seat material off the piston. So to make up for having a poorly designed solenoid, they said run two of them. Well, the problem with that is if one lets go and gets in the other one, there's so many different problems with the pieces there that it was a Band-Aid issue. We don't have those issues now. You very seldom hear of a solenoid failure. Generally, if there's a solenoid failure, it's because somebody wired something wrong. Maintenance is key to make sure there's not trash in it. Where'd it go? Right here. So let's go back to this solenoid. It only takes a grain of salt to get underneath here and sit on that seat right there and keep it from shutting. And so generally, the guys that use Teflon tape, generally where their solenoid's stuck open is because a slither of Teflon tape got in there. Do not use Teflon tape in a nitrous system. You want to use a mild grade Loctite, like a blue Loctite on stuff that you want to be able to take apart, and use a red Loctite on something that you don't want to be able to take apart. The reason why you want to use Loctite is because all the MPT threads that are in the system, they're machined differently as far as it's supposed to be a standard, but again, you have tolerance differences, and you got a machine shop that machined a fitting, you got a machine shop that machined the solenoid base, and so on. So we use Loctite because we're operating such a high pressure that it will seal that surface, not only lock the part in place, but it'll seal that surface so that it can't push it out. If you use paste, a lot of times a pressure will push the paste out because the pressure will work its way into the threads and it'll push it out. So Loctite is what we suggest using. I know I'm missing something, but I think I've kind of covered the basis of a solenoid. Does anyone have any questions? Crystal, so the solenoids, honestly, like solenoids can last a long time. I'm talking, odds are you're probably going to get rid of your vehicle before you need a solenoid. It's all about, really, it's about the piston. These things are, a lot of people are intimidated by a solenoid, but there's really not a whole lot to it. It's a mechanical part with a little bit of electrical, but it really comes down to just maintaining the piston probably once a year. I mean, I got guys that, now if we get over into something like the 189 where I've opened up the seat, right? Well, whenever I open up that hole, it creates a smaller seat area. So that's going to dig into the piston faster, right? So the more we race and the more we progress it, the more that seat's going to embed into the piston. So I tell my guys that are running these specialty competition solenoids to check those more often and to have a backup in a replacement parts in the trailer. But your off-the-shelf 122s and 112s and 177s, man, I've seen pistons that have been solenoids that haven't been touched in 10 years that still look new. It really just depends. The worst thing you can do is during the heat of the summer when that bottle's sitting in your car and it's gotten really high on bottle pressure, and you reach in there and just quickly open that valve, what happens is that pressure rushes and it takes that piston, just smacks it into the seat. And whenever it hits it that hard, it digs that piston into the seat, and that creates that embed that the embedding and that nippling that's going on in the piston. Whenever you open a nitrous bottle, regardless of regular pressure or high pressure, you want to slowly do it. Kind of crack it open in a minute, let it fill the main feed line so that it's not smacking that piston into the seat, and then open it all the way. That will go a long way on your solenoid maintenance. Other than that, I mean, these things are, I'm not going to say they're indestructible, but the technology and the quality that's in these solenoids is phenomenal. A lot of companies just call and say, I need this solenoid. We've actually done a lot of testing. We have a great reputation, a great relationship with Peter Paul, which is who manufactures our solenoids. And the solenoids are made to our specifics. You know, we started the 177 bottom etset solenoid that a lot of people, I've seen other companies have it now. We're the only ones that they currently manufacture aluminum bases for, and that's because we wanted to keep everything made in the U.S. There is a science between balancing these, and we do a lot of testing because of all the class restriction, all the class racing we do where things are jet restricted, and we're looking for match flow control of the solenoid and for it to be reliable. And all that technology that we developed there in R&D, we bring over into our other standard products that we make. So anyways, to answer your question, a solenoid can last a really long time. It just depends on how you treat it, right? But I do suggest every year, at least every year, checking the piston on the solenoid. Anything else? Anybody else got any questions? Chris Fleming says his solenoid is still hitting good. Yeah, it'll keep going forever. So anyway, that kind of wraps up What's Up with Nitro Dave. And tune in next week. Next week, I am going to do spark plug tech, how to read spark plugs. And I know that's going to be a hit because I get asked this question all the time. I'm gonna walk you through the proper way to take pictures and how important lighting is with spark plugs so that you can send it to your tuner or to me or one of my guys. I'm not sure who our special guest is going to be yet. But again, with each episode, we tend to be getting better and better. For episode 6, we will look into the technical difficulties we had today, and we will continue getting better and better. So thanks for joining us on What's Up with Nitro Dave.